Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm at another fantastic church. This is St Aeddan's Church at Bettwys Newydd. The church is located in the Usk Valley, and although it is quite remote here, the roads are fairly good, so you can get here quite easily. And there's a little car park here that you could park 2 or 3 vehicles. So if you do come and visit, this church is quite easy to get to. St Aidan's is a 15th century church with 12th century origins. It's a Grade 1 listed building, and this was listed back in 1956. It was last fully restored back in 1872. The church has a double bellcot, and both bells still work. Back in 2020, the church was actually closed. It suffered some serious damage to the roof by a bad storm, and water was getting in. A grant was provided and the church reopened back in 2024. Now it's great that they fixed the roof and it looks okay, but the tiles are not quite the same as they used to. You know, they're not as nice as the old ones. And I'll put a picture up now of what it used to look like. The church itself doesn't have a lich gate, which is a bit unusual. And as you walk into the porch, there's no door or little gates that you'd normally get. There's actually 3 really beautiful ancient yew trees here in the graveyard. And in the corner of the porch, there's this little plaque with a bit of the branch itself. Now, I love when churches do this kind of thing. It brings a bit of quirkiness to it. And the plaque reads, "The Bettwys yew, the star which shone on Bethlehem, shone on this noble tree. It stood here still when Norman knights claimed their victory. As King Charles lost his royal head, this tree made growth anew. Thanks be to God that we still have our mighty Bettwys yew." And I'll be showing you all 3 of these yews later on in the video. As you walk into the church, it's nice and bright and it doesn't smell in here. It's in a really nice condition. Here inside, you'll find this absolutely beautiful oak screen, and it's thought to be one of the most complete screens in the whole of Wales. The screen was made in the 15th century, so considering it's like 600 years old now, it's in great condition, and the carvings are absolutely amazing. The only thing this church is really missing is stained glass windows. There's not one here. They're all this like diamond type pattern. I suppose the only good thing is it does let a lot of light in, so it does feel nice and bright in here. This carved cross looks really nice and it's really in keeping with the rest of the church. There's plenty of original features left here in this church, which is nice to see. Now, when I go on these tours, I'll often go to like a big cathedral, and cathedrals are great and they're very showy and very flashy. But I love these little churches, and I actually found this one in a book I've got that's all about small churches in Wales. And there's a lot in this area around the Abergavenny, Usk area, and all around the Brecons. So I've got plenty others that I'm going to go and visit, just like this one. I'll add some background music now while we look around the rest of the church, and I'll talk again when we go outside. So we'll have a little walk around the graveyard. It's a fairly big one, but there's not that many gravestones here. And there's a few nice ones like this Celtic cross, quite an unusual one, that one. There's absolutely stunning scenery around. Like we're quite in farmers territory here. So there's lots of fields and hills and trees, and it's really nice here. As you can see, most of the gravestones are quite samey, and they're quite old, and you can't read any of them anymore. I believe that the church cross here is grade 2 listed. I think I read that somewhere, but it definitely looks like the cross itself is much newer than what it stands on. The graveyard itself is kept really nice, and while I was here, the guy came to cut the grass, and he kind of likes to leave it to a bit like meadow and cut what he has to cut. And apparently, it's one of the houses that's local to here that pays for him to do it, which is really nice of them because there's very little funding going into these churches. I actually was talking to a vicar back in England a few weeks back, and he doesn't actually get paid anymore to be a vicar. He's allowed to live in the rectory house, but he has no wage. So his wife was also a vicar, and she had to leave it to get a proper job just so they can survive. So this is actually the state of our churches at the minute. Now we'll move on to the three yew trees that are here, and all three of them are absolutely beautiful. And this is the oldest one. I've got a lovely book that says this is a female tree, but you can clearly see here this is a male tree. All three trees here are male, so you've got to be very careful. You know, you can even buy a nice book that's got information, and it could be a misprint, or maybe you got it wrong in the first place. So I'm a big advocate for first hand knowledge, not second hand knowledge. So everything I try and tell you is, as far as I know, is the truth, and I'll never try and purposely lie about something. Now these trees are very hard to actually pinpoint an age on them. Apparently back in 1990 an expert aged the tree at over 4,000 years old, although a lot of people disagree with this. Funny enough, inside the church, that plaque we read earlier was suggesting that the tree had been here before Christ, over 2,000 years old. And I would have to agree with that. The size and diameter of it, it's probably, I'd say, 2,500 years old. But, I'm no expert. I'm just learning this as I'm going around. All yew trees are quite unique, but this one is especially unique. And the outer shell is sort of decayed, but the inner like tree is about 2 to 3 meters in diameter now, and it looks very healthy. So, hopefully this tree will be here for another 1,000 years to come. I'll add a quick picture here of a print that was taken in 1874 of this actual tree, and as you can see, it looks quite similar. So the tree hasn't actually grown much in 150 years, and that's the beauty of these trees. They are very slow growing, and they are known as the eternal life tree. This next tree is located just left of the entrance gates as you come into the church, and it's around 6.5 meters in diameter. Now I reckon if you could time travel and come here in 1,000 years time, this yew tree would be one of the most amazing ones around. Now the yew tree's branches, they spread out, but instead of going up, they go down into the ground, and then they make kind of like their own tree, but it's still connected to the original tree, and that's what makes them last so long. So I reckon in the future this tree will have a massive arch to it and look amazing. This is the last yew tree, and again a really nice one. This is at the back of the graveyard on the altar side, and it's around 6.5 meters in diameter again, same as the last tree. I'm going to end the video now with some drone footage that I took. I really do hope that you enjoy these videos, and if you do, please hit like, please hit subscribe, and leave me a comment if you want, and I'll see you on the next one.